Thank you. Thank you again. And yeah, so I'm Chelsea Clarke. I run a boutique brokerage called blogsforsale.co. I am a business broker and I worked in marketing and I sort of got my education from going to university for marketing, all that. And I was in corporate marketing for a long time. And I worked for an M&A source company in beautiful Vancouver, BC. And that sort of opened my eyes to business brokerage as a business. And what everyone at the firm was focusing on was the brick and mortar businesses and, the above 1 million, $50 million deals. And I was like, hey, there's something called content creators. There are digital media marketers and bloggers who have amazing content that are earning revenue, ad revenue, selling digital products, selling courses, all these type of things. That's what I want to focus on. So then I started my own brokerage, just focusing on content sites, a little bit of e-commerce as well, but mostly just like blogs, like the average blogger. Either they got tired or they want to focus on something different. People come to me from all different reasons. And so we have a marketplace where people can buy and sell online businesses. And then I also build sites and sell them as well as a blog flipper myself. And yeah, so that's how I got started. I just kind of jumped right into it. I was a blogger. I was in marketing. Now this is what I'm doing and it's really working out. It's grown. We've been doing over $300,000 in deals in just the last few months since COVID hit. And it's like so many more people we're noticing now are trying to buy online businesses and get started because unfortunately a lot of people have lost their jobs in this year, as you know. And so people are looking for something else. And this is what we do.
Do you think the volatility of the stock market and the real estate market is driving people to look at alternative investments? And that's part of it? Because the thing I think of is when you say, oh, people losing their jobs and they're looking for alternative revenue streams, those aren't always folks that have money to invest.
That's right.
And so I'm just wondering if some of that gain is from people who have money who are traditionally investing it, but like, I'm not sure. And all of a sudden, sites that are monetized with organic Google search seems more stable than the stock
risky.
Market.
Yes.
Even though I'm not sure that that's the case, right? What Google has been up to lately. I mean, is it really more stable than the stock market?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a stock market pro. I buy stocks. I'm all about Shopify stock right now, but that could do me very wrong in a few months. We don't know what's going to happen. So don't take my stock advice. But I think that there's definitely both. So we're seeing people who have a bit of money that are now looking for different ways to invest. It may be less riskier to buy a website, but with any type of investment, there is risk. There's things you have to consider. Algorithms can change, things can come in and out of style and trends, and things that were a hot keyword before aren't anymore. So you can't just buy a business, and this, but maybe someone listening think, oh, I'll just buy a business, I'll make $500,000. It's not like that. But it's definitely a jumping off point, and you can be really successful with it if you do put the time into growing it and developing it further and investing in advertising and all of those type of things that it does take to grow your investment and get that return on your investment. So I'm seeing both. I'm seeing people who have lost their jobs and now they just want to get in control of their income, and they're like, I couldn't count on my employer. He or she doesn't know what's going to happen with their business. Well, I don't know what's going to happen with my job. I need something. I'm seeing a lot of that. And then I am seeing some people who are like, well, I'm already a website investor. I'm already a stock investor. What's the next step? They're seeing people are maybe needing to focus on other things. So other people are selling their websites, and that's an opportunity for investors coming in and buying up sites. So it's kind of a mix of everything, depending on where you're at on the ladder of it all.
Why are you so bullish on Shopify? Because I know people were talking up Shopify huge when the recreational cannabis explosion went off, and people were looking at Shopify as the way that people were going to be selling legal cannabis.
Yeah.
And so, but cannabis is, the fervor over it has kind of died down as of late.
Definitely.
So why Shopify right now?
Right now, and like I say, don't take stock advice from me.
Oh no, this is just us talking. Yeah, this is just us talking.
Yeah, of course. But I just believe in the business model. I've, just watching what they've been doing watching what I've been doing with Shopify with my customers as well. So building Shopify sites, seeing certain growth. I work with a couple bloggers who just start up Shopify sites every few months, and then they're able to grow it to like $50,000 a month in digital product sales on Shopify. So I'm just seeing what content creators are doing with it and seeing that potential. But from the point of being an investor and investing in the stock, I just kind of jumped in on it. And, I think in the last week, of course, it's going down. But, I just jumped in. I'm just kind of playing it by ear, and I'm just planning to have it sit for a while. So I'm not going to sell right away while it's up. I'm just going to see what happens. And,
More
I'm
of
doing the
the
same
coffee can investment, right? That's what they call it, coffee can portfolios, where you just put it in there and then put it on the shelf and forget
Yeah.
about it.
Exactly. And I'm doing that with things like other kind of like hype stocks like Beyond
Mhm.
Meat, just because like I believe in the company. I think it's
Mhm.
awesome. I want that sort of company to succeed. And my like little small investment may not mean a big thing in the long run, but it just, for moral reasons, I support that
But
one.
maybe
So
it will,
maybe,
and
yeah.
in 5, 10, 20 years, I mean, who knows,
Who
right? The
knows?
people
That's
who
the
got
thing. You
in,
don't know.
you don't know.
You just have to try. You just have to do something.
Awesome. Well, what are you most excited about in your business right now? We didn't talk about her paper route. We talked about the brokerage,
Right.
but you have a site that's herpaperroute.com, and that's your
Yes.
blog, and also the hub. And by the way, I love the name Her Paper Route,
Oh, thank
because
you.
it's a paper route, right? The first business that kids used to start, and then
That's right.
paper, is the money stacks, right?
Yeah.
So the route to earning your money. By the way,
Exactly. That's it.
I
That's the
know.
thing.
I saw that. I was like, dang, that is awesome. So what are you working on or looking forward to that has you really excited in your business right now?
For that business, it's really like it's always been about the content, and right now I'm just nerding out hard on funnels. So I'm just like I want to create niche products. I want to create a really great freebie offer that leads people into it, just tons of value, and then just kind of branching out into different ways to monetize that audience. So that from the get-go, that's how I started with the blog, and that's really how it's been growing over the year. So it's grown my email really fast. It started to grow my social media in the last couple of years, like little things like that. And that's how the blog income has really grown. It's like creating digital products, funnel, value. That's really just been the recipe that's worked.
So you have Her Paper Route and the blog there, and then you have the podcast and YouTube channel
Yes.
that you're not really growing, and you have your website says over 30,000 students,
Yeah.
and the brokerage.
Yes.
So are you still building, buying, selling, and working on websites monetized with ads or any other offers, or is this other aspect of your business the only part of it that you're working on?
I am always buying, developing, and selling niche sites. That will always
How?
be at the core.
How do you have time? How
You
do you
know
have
what?
time?
I am fortunate because, like I said, my husband is a content creator, so we both just work for home. So we can share the responsibilities fully 24 hours with our kid. He's 3 years old. So it's like I'm able to just be like, okay, today is the day that I need to do this, this, and this. And he's like, cool. And they go to the park, So it's like that has really, really worked for me. If I was trying to balance this without him being here, that would probably be very much, very, very difficult. So that's a big help. And then also just getting up early and just getting it done, because there's so many things that can get in the way. Life gets in the way. You just have to make your list and stick to it.
Are you working with a team at all as far as VAs or assistants or anything else? I mean, is it just you and him, or is there another aspect of folks who are helping you run this show?
Yeah, that's an awesome question. So once a year, I work with an apprentice. So I partner with Gen M, which is a company where mentors and apprentices work together for 3 months. So I do like every summer, I'll bring on a couple interns and we work together. I train them on marketing and digital media. And this summer we worked together and I I had her help me grow one of my niche sites. And so we just do that trade off. And one person that I worked with last year, I hired her for 6 months, and now she's coming back in December. So we're just kind of like on and off. I don't have any full-time staff. When I have a project on the go, I'll hire someone short-term for the project. And yeah, otherwise it's just me, like just kind of just getting through
Doing your
it.
best.
But I love it. It's like I say, it's like you get to nerd out on it, and it's so much fun, and it's rewarding too. So it never
So,
really feels like work.
so as far as your content sites, then are you creating the content yourself, or is that something that you are outsourcing?
So when I started, I was writing everything, but now I just specifically look for content sites to buy.
Mhm.
So I'll look for a site that has like 100 articles, and it doesn't matter to me if there's no traffic. It doesn't matter to me if it's not making any money. It doesn't matter if it's not ranking for any good keywords on Google. I just want that content, and I will cut up that content and I'll split it across 7 sites and then sell off individual sites. And that's kind of been my my focus, like we were talking about with buying up content sites and splitting them up.
So in doing so, are you looking to have those sites sold as maybe starter sites that are unmonetized, or are you trying to get them earning some sort of revenue before you go to seek to sell them?
I will develop them. So I'll monetize them. I'll get them earning some money, and I'll get the traffic up. So it's important to me that when I put a site up for sale, it's like turnkey. Someone can just come in and they can grow it further, but it's already making a little bit of money, and it's already got some fans, social media followers, and traffic is important. So I get it ranking on Google. I improve the SEO of all the articles. I write some fresh articles, just that kind of thing, so that it's a starter site, but it's earning revenue. It's just not that old. It's not established yet.
Do you find that, and I see this on other places where people are trying to sell things, that if you have a site that has content on it but is not monetized, that people are less attached to I'm going to put up my air quotes, the multiple or the price, versus when the site is monetized, but it is a small amount, like maybe it's earning $20 or $30 a month. So people are saying, oh, well, it's only earning $20 a month. And so on a 30x multiple, the value of the site could only be $600. Versus if it was a starter site, like you could get a site from Human Proof Designs that has the same amount of content, but it has no earnings whatsoever. And they say, oh, here's a starter site and we're going to sell it to you for $2,500. Have you seen any sort of back and forth as far as what people are willing to pay for a site when it's not monetized at all versus minimally monetized?
Definitely. And that just comes down to the buyer. So as you know, it's like typical that a buyer will pay up to 3 years times the monthly revenue, so like 36. And people who have that in their mind, a lot of the time they're looking for sites that are monetized to a certain amount. They have their budget in mind, and they will pay exactly up to that or less and no more. And that's fine. We have sites that can make those people happy. But there also are a lot of people that are overlooking that and like, okay, this site has 200 articles. It's got a little bit of traffic and it's making $25 a month, $50 a month. Awesome. I can see where I can go in and improve that. And so they're coming from it more of like the investment side, where they're not buying it at a flat, this is the value, this is what I will pay, this is what you will get, the end. They're coming at it with like, this is where you're at. I see somebody is coming to it. You have readers. I see the potential, and I can see where I can double that, triple that income that it's getting. So personally, if I'm selling sites, I like to sell a site that has that revenue, like I was saying. But we always find buyers that just want to come and get a great site, and they don't care if it is making any money. So we've been successful on both ways, and we've also been unsuccessful on both ways because it just comes down to the actual individual buyer. And of course, you're always going to work with sellers who want the most money, and they're not realistic. We do our job as a broker to explain to them the market and what it's really worth and what people will pay. And there will always be people that we have to educate and say, no, I'm sorry, you can't get $50,000 for this site that's making $50 a month, but here's what we can do for you. And when they realize a more realistic goal, then they actually end up making more than they expected.
So in the brokerage, so you operate more as a traditional brokerage. And the reason I say this is because I think of Motion Invest. John Gillum and Spencer Haas and their team over at Motion Invest, what they're doing instead of being a broker is that when they see a site that somebody brings to them that they think they could sell, they're just going to buy it. They're going to get control of it and then remove the seller entirely from the equation. And they take it on. Maybe they'll work on it. Maybe they won't. Maybe they'll list it right away. but on your website, it's blogsforsale.co. Is it a traditional brokerage where somebody comes to say, I want to sell this, and you say, great, I'll help broker the deal, I'll help find a buyer, and I'll take a percentage of the sale?
Yeah, so primarily that's how we operate. And there are times when people will come to me and they'll just be like, hey, I don't want this site. What will you give? Chelsea, what will you give me to take this off my hands? And in those cases, if I see some value in it, yeah, I'll just buy their site and then I'll develop it for a certain amount of time and sell it later. But the primary thing that we do is represent the buyers and the listings. And we go out and we have our network of buyers and sellers, and we just kind of communicate with people and work out deals. And we are also partnered with Flippa. We are a verified partner with them. So, we work on deals with Flippa as well. Yeah, so we're kind of in both sides. We go for the main thing is the actual traditional brokerage, but as a content creator, when I see something of value and I see a seller that isn't interested in holding on to it and waiting for a listing, then great, let's do a cash deal or get it done, and I'll work on it when I have time.
Awesome. So I'm looking at your website and I see a link up there to something called Brave 2020.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm wondering, and I clicked on it and it was talking about something in December that it looks like some sort of summit, or maybe it was a conference. I mean, what is that?
Yes, so that is coming up it launches on November 30th. So it's a Women in Business Summit that I am organizing. So I've put it on. We have about 40 speakers, and we're doing it as sort of a merge between an online summit and a business bundle. So attendees have the option to come and watch the summit for free. If they want to upgrade, then they can get the extended access pass where they can watch the videos at any time, or they can upgrade to the business bundle and they will get lifetime access to a course, ebook, template, a collection of them from all 40 speakers in the event. So it's kind of like, it's going to be so much fun. It's going to be basically a party all week long. We're going to have educational workshops, live co-working sessions, networking sessions. And my big thing why I put it together was because I've been a speaker and I've been a bundle contributor in many other people's presentations before. And I noticed that there's never really enough representation of women in color. So that was a big issue for me when I was reaching out to people to speak and participate in the event. I really wanted to have women from all backgrounds, but with women of color at the focus of it all. So that's how we sort of built it up, and that's what we're doing. And yeah, it's a couple months away, so we just have that sign up page to get the free tickets. Free tickets aren't out yet, but yeah, that's Brave at Business coming up.
So if they wanted to find it, they would just go to is it braveinbusiness.com? Is that what it
Brave
is?
braveatbusiness.com.
Yep. Braveatbusiness.com. So folks listening to this, it will definitely be published in advance of that. I can't say exactly when, but definitely in advance of that. Can you tease at all any of the people? I mean, is there anybody that I might know, or are these just folks that I probably don't know, but I should?
Yeah, I wish I could say it. It's all top secret right now, but I'm going to send you an invite after our call because I would love to have you be a part of it. So I'll send you
I
information
would love
if you're
to attend to it. Yeah, no, I would love to attend. That sounds like a lot of fun.
No, I'd love to have you on it. So if you're interested, I'll send you I don't want high pressure or live call, but you don't have to make a decision, but I'll just send you the information. And then if you'd like to, I would love to have you on it.
That'd be a lot of fun. What do you think I would talk about? Or just
this
be
kind
there?
Of stuff. Yeah, no, just this kind of stuff. Business, website buying, flipping, anything that you want to talk about.
Sure. Yeah, no, that sounds like a lot of fun. Okay, well, I'm glad that I brought that up.
You're hired.
Woo! Awesome. All right. Well, talk to me then about what it means to you to be a creative business strategist, because that's how you have yourself listed on your website. And so I have a hard time putting a title to myself, like what I am. People say, oh, what do you do and who are you? I'm like, well, how long you have, right? But you seem to have bundled it down into something where you could say, here's what I am, here's what I do. And I feel like when you say creative business strategist, you could probably stop and not have to go down the road of explaining what that is. What is a creative business strategist?
Yeah, so that is just like what I do from the courses that I teach. I teach on marketing, blog flipping, website development, that kind of stuff. That is how I help people take their content and make money with it. Down to the core, just like the name of my blog, Her Paper Route, it's how you're going to make money with your creative interests. And that's what we do. So as a creative business strategist, I'm just helping people use their creativity to find other creative ways to grow and develop their content, their websites, their Instagram, whatever it is that their creative passion is. I want to see everyone making money from it, reaching more people and helping more people along the way, because that's what it's all about.
I ask this a lot, but I wonder, can you tell a story that you kind of cringe a little bit about? Like, okay, in my business, I made this decision and I jumped into it and I'm like, ugh, like maybe it didn't turn out the way that you planned, and maybe the outcome is good, or maybe it was just like a dumpster fire. And like, man, I learned from that. Having been in this business, I don't think I've talked to a single person who has done everything perfectly and who hasn't had some failure along the way. And those failures seem to be maybe what makes people who are successful relatable to the rest of us, because from looking at your website and looking at your portfolio and all these things, I mean, it's hard to see how or where you've gone wrong, but I have to imagine that you have.
Oh
Can
yeah.
you talk to any maybe one of the better stories of having gone wrong and what you took from it?
For sure. And also thank you. That's really kind of you to say. But yeah, no, I definitely, oh my gosh. So if you go to the Wayback Machine and you look at what my website looked like in like 2017, that says it all. So I was like, I had just had my baby and I'm like, I need to make my blog work because I don't want to go back to work after maternity leave is up. Like, I need to make this work so I can stay home with my kid. And I just bootstrapped it. I had a bit of web design background, like I have worked on websites back then in the past, but I've definitely learned a lot since then. So when I started, I just went for it. I threw up a website and it literally looked like throw up. Like the colors were crazy, the fonts were crazy. I think I was using like Playlist font, which is just the ugliest font imaginable. But I just went for it because I was like, you know what? I got to make it work. And so I was just learning as I went. I was learning about SEO as I went. So my first site, I didn't know about duplicate content. So I had all of these blog posts that I then put on another domain. And then on the same domain, I had the pages. I don't know why I made like a tools and resources page and then also copied that into a blog post so that I had the exact same content on the same domain. And I didn't know that was bad. And, these are just things that I kind of learned as I went along. And I picked up some design skills along the way too. So, you know, the first couple years, it was a hot mess. I didn't have any professional photos. I think I had a selfie photo up for totally like it was not the professional look that I wanted to put out there. But that's just part of it, and you kind of just figure it out. I would say if anyone is trying to just get started, like go get professional headshots from the beginning. If you're not comfortable with editing your site yet, you get some help. There's so many people out there that can help you, and you can learn as you go, but you can start more professional than I did, and you'll just get a jump start on it.
One of the things I saw on your site is that you offer auditing and coaching services. And one of the things I wondered though is, one, how many people are actively seeking coaching? And then two, how do you pick a student to work with one-on-one? Because I can't imagine that you will want to work with everyone one-on-one. I just can't imagine that everyone is going to be a good fit. And how do you figure out who you want to actually work with one-on-one?
That's such a good question. Yeah. So for any of my coaching services, usually the people that I work with are people who are students of mine. So we kind of started in a course together, or they've been on my email list and they like the kind of things that I teach my email list. And then they've just reached out. So we'll just jump on a call, and it works both ways. They want to know if I'm going to be the right coach for them. And I want to know if they're going to be willing to do the work and be interested in the kind of, nerdy stuff that I'm going to have them doing. And it's just a process of if the chemistry is there. And not everybody works out both ways, and the ones that do has been amazing. The thing is, coaching takes so much time. Coaching isn't my focus. I only open my coaching program once a year, and services in general, including the blog auditing service, are things that I'm starting to phase out because I'm just finding that the other things main parts of my business, they've really taken off this year, and they're really taking up a lot of my time. And, you know, it just makes more sense for me to be focusing on those things than the one-on-one calls and the auditing and that kind of thing. As much as I love it, it's a big time concern, and it's not my main focus. So yeah, so just to answer your question, it's like this: jumping on a call, seeing if we click.
It's interesting to it's interesting to talk with you about the number of deals and the pandemic, because a lot of us, when we were talking about deal making, especially back in February, March, and April, there was this big concern that that the market for deals would fall off because of the uncertainty, that maybe people wouldn't have cash to come and bring, or that it would become more of a seller's market. Well, see, I got to think out of my head right now. I would call it a seller's market rather than a buyer's market. The sellers have a lot of power, and things I think are fairly expensive. And there was a concern that maybe it would switch over, and so that it wouldn't be as we've seen it before. We thought multiples would fall, and just that it would be different. But it seems to not have really changed maybe at all, especially in the lower range. I think the 7-figure deals are maybe different, but in the lower end, it still seems like I'm talking to people every day. It's like, I really want to buy a site. I can't find anything to buy, and nothing of value to buy. And where people who are looking for sites to buy, if they can't find it on your site and they can't find something that they feel good about on Flippa, because it's really hard to sift through and find things on Flippa.
For sure.
Where else could they go?
I always say, if you see a site that you like go into Facebook groups and you see bloggers talking about their blogs, go check it out. If you like it, send that person just a cold message and be like, hey, would you ever consider selling your site? I've actually been able to buy sites that way, and you'd be surprised, because a lot of the time people hadn't even considered it before, or they're like, yeah, actually, no, this is taking a lot of time. I'm not really interested in it. And we did see a little bit of a dip right when the pandemic, like around February, March was happening. The deals just slowed down a little bit. We're just, we were still getting as many emails, but the closings and the deal making was just a little bit slower, except for the deals in the range of like 10,000 to 30,000. So that was kind of like the sweet spot. Those didn't change, and those we're seeing picking up more. People have been more cautious, at least in our brokerage, about buying the $50,000 deals, the $80,000 deals. Those ones, they're slowing down a little bit, but the under 5,000s, hotter than ever. Like those, like quick win, not a huge investment, still a chunk of money, but not a big risk for a lot of people. And that's where we're seeing that they're flying off the shelves, is content sites in the like $5,000 and under range.
I think a lot of bloggers quit. A lot of times in the first year, like right before they could look to really reap the benefits of their work, usually because they've spent, they purchase hosting for a year, right? And so they figure, I'll stick it out for a year, and hosting is going to renew, and no longer is it the sweet, 97 cents for a year deal. They're going to be paying $250 for a year of hosting. And they're like, I wish there was a way to capture those people and those websites. Because I think a lot of people give up at a time when they actually have something of value, even something small, to say, okay, at least get reimbursed for your domain name and expenses. Do you see a lot of people coming to you with those types of sites out of your community who people have said, I can't do it?
Totally. Just before the 1 year mark of the hosting renewal, they get that message, oh, it's not, X amount anymore, it's tripling. They didn't expect that. They didn't read the fine print or whatever it is. They haven't made any money in that first year, so they don't see any reason to pay another year of hosting, which to me is like, oh, you just spent a whole year creating all of this content. Like, you just spent a year learning all this stuff and up-leveling your skills and doing all this amazing stuff with your site. Don't give up. So we see so many people in Facebook groups, even like students coming and being like, oh, I just didn't make enough. I thought I was going to make more. It's like, Well, you probably, you're so close. You're probably just out of the Google sandbox, maybe. You haven't given it enough time to actually see the reward for your time. Don't give up. So that was part of the reason for creating Blogs for Sale, was because I wanted to give people a chance. You don't have to just put your site in the garbage. Like, I really do value the work that content creators do. And if you don't want to run it anymore, I know that someone else will. So that was a big reason for me to do this, because I hate to see all that work and time and effort and amazing content just go away for nothing with a hosting going bad.
What sort of work are you doing in your business to try and let other people know that you are there? Because it seems like there's lots of Facebook groups, like you said, that are focused on blogging. Some of them have hundreds of thousands of members. Some of these creators
Yeah.
have really, built up these communities. Are you reaching out to any of these communities to say, we can collab, or just find a way to let them know that you're here, not to take anything from them or to try to sell them, but just to say, okay, here I am and here's how I can help?
Yeah, absolutely. So I spend a little bit of time every day just going into different blogger Facebook groups and just seeing what people are doing, commenting on what people are talking about and sharing and checking out people's blogs. And I just let people know what I do. But mostly people know from my email list. So they've wound up on my email list from, Pinterest or freebies or my paper route blog. And that's how they find out about the brokerage. And also with the name blogsforsale.co, we do get a lot of Google traffic just from that domain name. And now, as we've started to grow, the nice thing is that we're getting a lot more referrals. So people are coming to know me as the blog flipper girl, the blog broker. And so that's been really nice. Just, you get tagged on Facebook and other people kind of weave in, and we've now partnered with other brokerages too. But we're just a couple years in too. So it's growing. But I think for anyone that would be listening, trying to get their own brand out, like, Facebook groups are so good. Facebook groups and Pinterest. Maybe not Pinterest, not as good as it was a year or two ago, but it's still there and it's still good for getting your name out there.
So talk to me then about Pinterest. What do you think is different?
You know what? Okay, so I teach a course on Pinterest, and I really do love Pinterest, and I've used it to grow my niche site. So it's great for growing content sites. It's great for getting free traffic to your brand new website like that. You create a beautiful pin, you put your keywords in the description, the title, and away you go. You get some new people checking out your website. And I use that, and I also use Pinterest advertising. So that's a big one too. If I want to grow traffic to a new site really quickly, throw some Pinterest ads up, away you go. And in the last year, for my own site, I really haven't created any pins. You're supposed to create fresh pins every day. It's hard not to say fresh prints when you say that, but fresh pins every day. And for this year, as a Pinterest, teacher and promoter and all of this, personally, I really have not created very many pins. And I'm still getting traffic just from old viral pins from years ago, from old ugly pins that I pinned years ago are still sending traffic. So I see people freaking out thinking they have to create new content constantly for Pinterest, and they're worrying about the algorithms, and they're worried about their Pinterest traffic. Say, just take it easy on yourself. Like, let that lie, because there's so many other things you can be doing. And if you take a month off of creating pins, not much happens. Maybe you're slowing down your future traffic because you didn't create things now, but you're still going to be getting that older traffic, and you're just going to do yourself a favor, and your head is going to feel so much better. So since taking a break from creating pins, I can 100% say very happy, stress-free over here. I highly recommend it.
Have you considered hiring a Pinterest VA to do that for you?
Yeah, I haven't had that, but I do work with some clients who have Pinterest VAs, and they highly recommend it. And I definitely can support that. I think that's a great idea. Someone with a little bit of graphic design skills, they know their way around Canva. That can be a big help.
So looking back at our conversation and what we have talked about, I feel like we've covered lots of topics. You know yourself better than I do. What do you think I should have asked you about? What do you think that I would be sorry having turned the record button off and not asked you
Oh
about?
gosh, I don't know. Honestly, this is so much fun,
Isn't
and
it?
like, it's so, yeah, this is just like, I don't even know what you would do differently. Like, this is, I could,
I'm not asking for different. It's
we're
like,
yeah.
you like, I know, like, you have this thing, like, I just, really interested. It could be anything. It could be paddleboarding. It could be whatever. You're like, guess what I did last week?
Yeah, never tried paddleboarding. But actually, when you reached out to me, you talked about that, the blog post you had read about the flip that I did. If you want, we can touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, that'd be great. I don't know that many people who are watching this have probably seen that.
No, probably not.
Yeah, but so just give me the origin story. Like, feel free, tell me all about it. I'd love to hear about it.
Okay, so yeah, happy to. So what I sort of mentioned a second ago about buying sites that don't have traffic, don't have revenue, and that's okay. I just want really great content.
Mm-hmm.
So this is sort of a case story of something that I did in the last year. I bought a site for $500. It was just under $500, and it had about 700 articles. So there was a business category, there was tech, there was
Where did you
stocks.
find this? Where did you find it?
This was on Flippa.
Okay.
This was on Flippa. And they, it had no other bids on it. Nobody wanted it. It was like a 10-year-old site. It wasn't ranking. So that's a big reason nobody wanted it. It wasn't ranking, didn't have any money coming in.
But the content was unique.
The content was unique. I checked it all out, Copyscape, it was all good. The content was unique, and the articles were long too. There was a lot of information in them. So they weren't just like quick, cheap, crappy articles.
Why do you think it wasn't ranking?
When I started going through everything, the articles were not written with any keywords in mind. It was more of just like they had some great ideas, but they didn't think about it from an SEO perspective. They're just like, oh, I'm going to talk about this. Boom, there's the article. Mm-hmm. So when I went in and, added headings, added the meta description, kept the URL the same, but just put keywords everywhere else, it started ranking pretty quickly. And then I was like, okay, I don't want this site to be the ranking site because I have other plans for it. So what I did is I cut up each of the categories. There's 7 different categories. I cut them up and I put them on 7 different domains. So there were 7 different niche sites.
So these were brand new domains that you went and purchased, and you say, yes. Okay, I'm going to do, so you copy the article, just the text from it, move it over, and then you take it off the original site.
That's right.
Yeah. Do a 301 redirect from the original URL to the new site.
That's it. Yeah.
And so brand new domains, so in the sandbox domains.
That's right. Yeah. So brand new domains. A couple of them were domains that I already had that had been sitting around for a little while. I just hadn't been doing anything with. And some were just brand new ones that I had just registered. And then, so I had these 7 different sites and I sold 2 of them. I don't remember off the top of my head. It was like a couple $1,000, just sold 2 of them. So I was up a profit. And then I went and, I had a surplus of articles. So I still had 5 sites and I still had a bunch of articles. So I had some clients that needed websites built and I was like, hey, one guy wanted a travel site. I'm like, I can build you a travel site. I have these 5 articles I'll put on. I'll set it all up. I'll put an API on it. So it has like a travel booking affiliate workaround inside of it. $1,000. He's like, great. So I ended up making a couple of those using the articles from that first site that I bought. And then I sold another site. And then I think it was up $6,000. So then I went and I bought a mom blog that also had a bunch of articles. I used some of the articles from the first site to create a course. I just kind of kept on building and building. And in the end, I profited just under $17,000 from that $500 investment. And so I've really just been doing that. That's kind of been my thing. I've been buying cheap, developing, either splitting off or just generating traffic to the one, and then selling high once it starts making some money. And so we've done that about 5 times this year, from ones that I just like bought, developed, flipped, and just kind of like focused on that and got the profit up.
And so do you teach these types of strategies and skills in your blog flipping course that you have on Her Paper Route?
Yes, I do. So the blog flipping course goes into in depth of all this kind of stuff. And yeah.
You're going to end up seeing my credit card.
Well, you're the pro here too. So, you probably don't need my course, but.
No, I would not call myself a pro at all. I spend a lot of time on YouTube is what I do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, YouTube's great. YouTube's definitely great too. I just, I like to put everything into courses because there's so much, and you can spend so much time going from person to person and channel to channel. And it's nice just having a set for you, done for you profit plan, like from top to bottom. Do this, then do this, then yeah, that's
So
me.
as a buyer of one of these sites that had been carved out from the main site, right? Because you're not selling them the main site, you're selling them the carve out site with
That's right.
the content. So part of that deal, it seems like if I was the buyer, I would want something in writing that would confirm that you would always leave that 301 redirect in place.
Yeah.
And how, as a buyer, then could you enforce that? Because it's and at any point you could sell that main domain, right? And if you sell that main domain away, then it seems like there could be some uncertainty, though, from the standpoint of the buyer and buying a site that is 301 redirected,
Definitely.
when you aren't necessarily locked down to keep that main site.
Yep, absolutely. And this is something that we put in the contracts. So any site that would have had the 301 redirects would be kept, and we keep it in the agreement so that the seller knows, or so the buyer knows that. And, they know how long it's going to be held indefinitely. It's all in writing. Some of those niche sites, they weren't redirected because the articles they were getting no traffic at all. There was no ranking, there was no traffic, there was no links anywhere.
So what
So
you
it
do
was
then is just
content.
you just delete the article off the main site and leave it like as a 404. If anybody were to go there, it would just be a dead
Oh, you
link.
could
Or
redirect that link. So the internal link, and just put it somewhere else on
so
that
just
domain.
redirect to the homepage or whatever else.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
wouldn't.
Yeah. I wouldn't just kill off the link. I would
Mhm,
redirect it just within the domain.
mhm,
But yeah, so any of the sites that really, sort of the blog posts that really were getting nothing, like this
mhm.
site, I do want to explain. The site that I bought was a sinking ship. Like
Yeah.
there was not much value, link juice, anything like that. And that's what I really liked about it. And that's why I was able to sell off all these different multiple sites from it, was because there was nothing that was being lost by doing that. And that's also why other buyers weren't considering it, and why I do want people to maybe consider it, because you actually can be profitable with sites that weren't getting much love. But if the content is good and the content can be improved, like SEO improvements, then there's a lot that you can do with it.
It seems like a critical component of this strategy, though, is having an audience of buyers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the average person who's just like the guy sitting in his underwear in a gamer chair, who's like, all right, I'm going to employ the strategy. He goes and buys a site. And then, I mean, for you, because of your audience, and I guess it just hones back on the value of creating an audience and maybe being on
Mm-hmm.
YouTube or in a Facebook group, is that it gives you power to
For
be able to
sure.
do those things. Because like the average Joe wouldn't have anybody to say, okay, yeah, take this starter site from me that, has 5 articles and all the rest. Because I mean, who would trust him
Well,
or
that's the
her?
thing. That's why someone who doesn't have an audience like that, they would work with a broker. They'd work with someone who does, or they would put it up on an auction site. They don't have to have the audience themselves. If that's not their main goal, they can work with people who do have that audience and
Mhm.
benefit from working with a broker.
And so if somebody was employing this strategy and they had these starter sites, they could come to you and say, hey, I have these sites that are probably not maybe worth $16,000, but maybe there is some value there in the transaction so that they could get to that point.
Exactly. Yep. Totally. And I'm
Awesome.
happy to check out anybody's sites. Like I'll take a look. I'll give a free valuation, and I give some advice if I can, because I just love this stuff. Like I say.
It's amazing right now. I get lots of people contacting me. They want to buy.
Hmm.
And I very seldom have somebody reach out to me and say, hey, I really want to unload the site. Like it
Mm.
almost never happens, but people DM me all the time off of, Facebook, from YouTube, or to my business email. Like, I have this
Yeah.
site, I want to sell it, but where are it's like trying to connect these people up to the people who want to get rid of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know where they
I
are.
think it's right here. You and me should partner up.
I'll send everybody to you.
Yeah, and yeah, we'll work you out a referral scheme, because
I'm
yeah,
not even
let's do
worried
it.
about that. I just,
But that's what you say, that's like you say, like, how do we connect to these people? It's like this. It's in like building relationships and collaborating with each other, especially like women to women. Like
Mhm.
that's where business is made. Like that's how you connect the people.
Awesome. Well, I want to wrap up and then I want to talk to you about a couple of those things when we turn this off. Before we go, here's your chance. Tell us, just remind us who you are and plug anything you want. Where should people look to find you? Just hit us with it.
Okay. Oh gosh. Well, I feel like I've already plugged enough because I kind of mentioned all these different things that I'm working on. So no plug, but thank you for coming and watching, and thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm Chelsea Clarke. I have for paperroute.com and blogsforsale.co. I am a content creator and a broker, and I help investors and content creators buy and sell niche online businesses.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
If you enjoyed this interview, take a look at your screen, and what you will see right now are two things: a link to my playlist where I have all of the interviews I have done here on YouTube, and also a video from my YouTube channel selected just for you.